I'm making beans that are so delicious and so perfect, and it's so easy to make. You're gonna love them. So I'm just going to quickly explain. I'm making the most really yummy dinner tonight. It's beans cooked perfectly, and fresh tomatoes from the garden on sourdough bread with goat cheese, and beans. So it's going to be really crusty sourdough bread with goat cheese and tomatoes, and I have some beets that I'm going to add to that, as well as this beautiful bean recipe that I'm going to make for you and show you how to make. And everyone, this is going to change your life in how you make your beans. So here's the thing with beans. The secret to good beans is salty water, thyme, as in T-I-M-E, and fat. I put about an inch of olive oil on the top of this. I just skimmed the foam off at the top of this, and I'm letting this gently boil. The idea is that you don't want the beans to, to bang up against each other too much. You want them to be kind of just like gently boiling in here. So I'm going to slowly cook them. I'm going to go out to the garden now and get some fennel to put in there and some other greens, which I think will be really good. Okay, here I am. I'm going to get some fennel, which this has been growing for a while, and you can see that some of this it's like getting pretty big. They're not getting as thick as I'd like at the bottom, but since they're going to be boiling, I'm going to just take my chances with them. They're probably a little bit past their prime, but this is the base of the body. Oops. And here's the roots. So I'm going to pick some fennel. Okay, here's some more. I'll cut that a little bit, and we'll put some kale into my beans. This is high summer. Garden is looking pretty ripe for harvest. Here I am in the tomato house. I'm going to be picking some tomatoes. Should probably pinch off the tops of some of these because they're getting too tall. And as much as I hate to inhibit growth, it's time. Oh my God, everything's turning red. Whoops, dropping tomatoes. Oh my God, so many ripe tomatoes right now. This is going to be a delicious dinner. Okay, well, I just added some kale and fennel, and I'm going to let that simmer. I'm going to let it simmer now for an hour and just check it, and I'm going to go out and get some oregano and chop that really fine, and I'm going to just add whatever herbs I have I have some basil and things like that, and I'm just going to add it all to this delicious stew. And it's cooking. You can see it's simmering really softly. I don't have this on a high heat. This is kind of really, really a slow, sorry about that. It's cooking slowly. I'm going to add some more water, and I'm going to cook it really slow. I'm going to make sure it has plenty of olive oil and salt, and just keep checking in on it, kind of lovingly cooking this for the next hour. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, so these beans have been cooking for about 50 minutes now, and I just tasted them, and they could still use maybe another 10 minutes. I want them to be really creamy and delicious, but the broth that they're cooking in is so delicious. It has like this, it's salty, but also oily, like in the best way. It's so like really delicious. The fatty feeling and the fatty salty content with the beans taste, and the creaminess of the beans is so delicious. So what I'm going to start to do, I'm going to make this with some breadcrumbs, some toasted buttered breadcrumbs. I'm also going to make a goat cheese and tomato. I'm going to roast some tomato. I'm going to saute some tomatoes and mix it with some goat cheese and some really delicious champagne mangoes that I have. And I'm gonna make a really delicious kind of like relish to put on goat cheese on sourdough bread. So I'll be back, and I'm also gonna make a garlic aioli. That'll be a really nice dressing on top of the beans. So I will be back to show you how to do that. Okay, so I have the tomatoes right now kind of roasting on the pan. I'm gonna make a garlic aioli. I have in here an egg yolk and some garlic, plenty of garlic, as you can see. And I'm just gonna kind of drizzle, just like drizzle some olive oil in here and mix it. I mean, technically this should be mixed with, I would say, a whisk, but I don't have a tiny whisk, unlike Babish. And you just mix it until it's super creamy. It's basically a mayonnaise that you're making, but it's so tasty on top of the beans, and it's really thick right now. There's tons of garlic in here. My husband and I both love garlic, so this is not going to be a problem for us, but you might want to use less garlic if you're making this for guests. So here we go. This is like this really yummy garlic aioli. So that turns into the just buttery cover. It's going to go on top of the beans. So I just took a good chunk of this, cut it into squares, and now I have it toasting with some ghee in a pan, and that's going to be the breadcrumbs that we'll eat. We get this, it's a wonderful sourdough, a local sourdough from nearby us in Earth Sky Time Farms, an organic farm that we love so much. Amazing sourdough stuff. And now I'm going to start preparing the topping. Oh my God, I just made the toppings for the goat cheese and toasted sourdough. I have this amazing mango. It was an organic mango. It's a champagne mango. It is so good. It's amazingly good. If you see them, they look like this. And they're really like, they come ripened. This one's not quite ripe. This one that I had here is totally ripe. It is the most delicious mango I've ever had. I have here pan sauteed tomatoes and cucumbers from the garden. I'm going to now assemble everything together on one plate where you have the beans are cooked to perfection. They're so creamy, and it's a perfect mix of like creamy, herby, fatty, salty. It's so good. It's really good. So I'm going to put it all together, and then I'll show you how it came out. Okay, so here we have the plate set up. Here are these delicious beans with toasted buttery breadcrumbs. You can see the aioli sauce over the top. You can see the kale. You can see the herbs that are mixed in there. The aioli has garlic and really kind of like a buttery flavor. They're so creamy and perfectly cooked. And then here on a piece of sourdough, I have the roasted tomatoes, some cucumbers, some mango, and goat cheese. We use the best goat cheese. Oh my God. This is so good. The Bonnie Boucher from Vermont here. So delicious. Yeah. I just took a taste of it. It's so creamy, so delicious. This wasn't the quickest meal, but it wasn't hard. And it used almost everything, all the vegetables are from my garden, and it uses beans, and it's a really simple recipe, but it is so delicious. I encourage you to try it. It's really perfect. With beans, it's just three things: salt, fat, and thyme, T-I-M-E. And then you just add to it, and it's so delicious and really vegetarian and healthy. So enjoy.